Hello and welcome to Sapphire Kiss and Tell, where we review just for you. I am excited to be coming back to you with another review of The Slap on NBC on Thursday nights, and it's being moved because they cancel Allegiance, so I'll have to get the time right, but look it up Thursday nights on NBC, and it is great. This is episode 4, which is entitled Manolis, which is Hector's father, and we're halfway through. Can't believe it. We are halfway through this really great 8-week event, and Manolis was a really great episode for me. And one of the reasons why I really liked it is because I am a fan of tradition. Even though I consider myself extremely modern, I do like some old school, old ways, way back tradition. And Manolis' episode did that. It spoke to the patriarch of the family and how he handled the slap. It opens up with him laying in bed, and we see him just kind of menacing over, kind of really worried about Harry in this whole situation with the slap, and he's kind of thinking to himself. And Victor Garber, our wonderful narrator, kind of gives us insight on where his mind is, what he's thinking as he's deliberating over the slap. And he wants to get this out of the way because he loves his family. He wants to take them all to Greece. He's excited about sharing his culture with his family, with his kids, with his grandkids, with his daughter-in-laws, with his nieces. So he really wants to get all of the craziness behind him so that he can prepare to treat them. And so it comes to him to go to a friend/foe. And I found it funny because when he was thinking about what to do, he felt a sense of relief, but you could tell that he really wasn't comfortable with the decision he came to. But he goes and he visits an old friend/foe who is a high-powered attorney. And this guy is slick and smooth. He's handsome and regal, and you can kind of tell that he's that type of person that you're glad you know if you're in a bind, but any other time you kind of hate that you know. I don't know that he necessarily kind of loads his success over Manolis' head, but it seems that Manolis is not very happy with their relationship. But he puts all that aside because he wants to help Harry. And that's what families does, and that's what a patriarch does. He comes in, he saves the day, he gives wisdom and strength and security to the family. So he goes and he visits the friend, and the friend tells him at first he's too busy, he's got a lot going on. And then he thinks about it and says, hey, you're like family. And so I'm going to take care of this. So let me set up a meeting to meet with you and Harry and Hector at my club. And so that's what they do. They meet. And by the time he gets to the lunch, he's already put into play a plan to save Harry. They get to talking about it over the lunch, and he has already, in like a matter of days, unearthed some pretty disturbing things about Gary and Rosie. And as he's telling Hector and Harry and Manolis about, what they have in their past, the fact that they both had been arrested, that Hugo's mom had some sort of emotional issues. The father had went to jail for DWI. So all of these things kind of come to play. Hector and Manolis are like, no, that's not what I want to do. Of course, Harry is like, yeah, that's what I thought. I knew they weren't as clean as they claim to be. So even though Harry initially is hesitant about the friend helping, as the lunch goes on, he feels a sense of relief. He's like, yeah, I can stick it to these guys. They trying to come after me. I got this. Yeah, you my guy. And so they kind of leave, Manolis and Hector leave the lunch with a bad taste in their mouth. Of course, Harry leaves the lunch with a sense of relief. And Manolis, he has the right heart. And I think that's what came through in this episode to me. His heart was in the right place. As he leaves lunch, he has an episode where his heart begins to beat too fast. He's fluttered, he's flustered, and he goes to his daughter-in-law Hector's wife's office, Anisha, who's the doctor, and he talks to her. And while he's talking to her, he wants to be seen, and she checks him out, and she tells the medical community frowns on doctors treating their own family, but she checks him out, and he's okay, blood pressure's okay. But while he's taking that opportunity to try to get her to help Harry out in this situation, and it really puts her in a very tough place because she has already sided with Rosie and Gary. In fact, in this episode, we see her go to the DA's office with them to kind of stand with them. And as she's talking to her father-in-law in her office, he's trying to plead with her, help them, because now I've hired this attorney and he's a wild dog and they can't handle it. And so I see Manolis' point, that his heart is in the right place because now he's going to her and he's saying, hey, can you get them to step back? Come on, let's put this behind us. She's like, no, I can't. He said, well, you need to stand with family. The family is important, and it's so important to Manolis. And she says, well, Rosie and Gary are like family to me. And besides, I know that Harry has a problem because his wife several years ago came to me in the middle of the night to be treated because he abused her. Now, this is news to Manolis, and he is shocked and appalled at this. And we know as the audience, because we saw in episode 2, when it was Harry's perspective, how he choked her out almost over a simple thing. So it's obvious that Harry has a problem. And so she says that Anika says, I can't stand with him. I can't do it. I cannot do it. He is a horrible guy. He does not have a sense of how to control himself, control his temper. And so Manolis goes back to Harry, who questions him about it. And he knows right off the bat, who told him. He says, so you've been talking to Anika? And he says yes. And he denies it. And we all are looking at the TV like, now you know. But he denies it. But he does say that they've had problems like anybody else in their marriage. And so Manolis has sort of exhausted all he can do. And at the end of the episode, you can kind of tell that he's satisfied. However it plays out, he knows that he did his part, that he was just trying to be the patriarch of the family and stand up for family. And so it's going to be interesting to see as it plays out how Harry handles the situation, because it's obvious that he has a problem. And so even though Hugo was just out of control, absolutely out of control, would the situation been a lot of different if somebody else had been the one to slap him? Because Harry has an anger problem. He has a problem putting his hands on people. And so it's crazy because I can't wait to see where this story goes. It's a really good episode. I hope you guys are watching The Slap. It talks about so many things, not only the discipline of someone else's child, not only someone being abusive, somebody having an anger problem, the fact that Hector and Anika have these friends, and so their loyalties are split. Hector is in a horrible position because his wife is standing with their friends, and he and his father and his mother are trying to do everything they can to support Harry. And so it's so complicated, but it's so good. It's so delicious. It's it's delicious. So I hope you are watching. I hope that you are watching The Slap, and I'm going to continue to kiss and tell just for you. Remember to get you some joy and give some too. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life.